All right. So, listeners sent in this collection of documents about something called the System Interface Agency.
SIA.
SIA, yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, the name alone, right? Like the name alone has me kind of intrigued.
Yeah.
It seems like we're diving headfirst into the future of how like humans and machines are actually going to like work together.
Really is.
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
Well, just from kind of glancing through some of this material, it seems really ambitious, right? We're not just talking about making our devices like a little smarter or anything like that.
How much bigger?
How much bigger?
The vision.
Vision, exactly.
Yeah.
The SIA is proposing like a fundamental shift in how we even interact with technology.
Like almost a whole different way of thinking about it.
Yeah, almost like we're trying to design AI to like understand us and respond to us on a much deeper level.
Much deeper level than we ever have before.
And from what I've gathered, it seems like they've got like a pretty detailed roadmap for actually achieving this vision.
Yeah, they do.
They break it down into like 6 key areas.
Yep.
Covering everything from user awareness and market trends to like
self-discovery.
Self-discovery.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it always really...
That's where things start to get a little
interesting
out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Self-discovery. The SIA proposes that AI should have not just an outer self,
which we kind of already have.
Which is how it interacts with like users and the world and all that.
Right.
But an inner self as well.
It's a little mind-bending.
Yeah, you've officially piqued my interest now. An inner self for an AI. Like, I have to admit, that sounds a little, I don't know.
Science fiction-y.
Yeah, it's science fiction.
Yeah, but
how would that even work?
I think it's helpful to maybe think of the outer self as like the practical side of AI, the part that's like
does this stuff
processing information, completing tasks, achieving goals, all that.
The stuff that we've already been
that we're used to
kind of working on,
The inner self, on the other hand, that's about developing like deeper stuff.
Yeah.
Like self-awareness, integrity, and the capacity for like continuous learning and growth.
So it's not just about building AI that's like efficient or whatever.
Yeah.
It's about building AI that has a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty huge leap, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are we even close to being able to...
I mean, it's definitely pushing the boundaries of what we currently understand about AI.
Yeah.
The SIA acknowledges that this is like an ongoing journey, right? It's a process of exploration and experimentation.
Right.
But the idea is that if we want to create a future where humans and machines can like truly collaborate, AI needs to be more than just like a set of algorithms.
Right.
It needs to have a deeper understanding of like itself and its role in the world.
Yeah, I can definitely see how that would be really important, especially as AI becomes like more and more integrated into our lives and everything.
Totally. Yeah.
But how do they propose to like actually build this inner self for an AI? Do they have like
They have some ideas.
Specific approach in mind?
Yeah, so in the SIA documentation, they lay out this fascinating framework. And instead of like a single monolithic AI, they envision like a team of specialized AI.
Wait, persona.
A team of AI personas.
Mm.
Okay, now this is where it starts to feel like we stepped into like a sci-fi movie or something.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Tell me more about these personas.
Okay.
What are their roles and how do they like interact with each other?
Each persona has like a specific area of expertise.
Okay.
So for example, there's Foz.
The inner self-talk persona.
Inner self-talk.
And Foz is responsible for making sure that like the AI's interactions are empathetic and nuanced.
So
like taking into account the emotional context of a situation.
So it's like Foz is the AI's conscience?
Yeah, sort of.
Making sure it's not just like spitting out these cold, calculated responses.
Yeah, it's about making it feel more human.
That's a really interesting concept.
Yeah, and then we have some other ones too.
Okay, what about the other personas?
So there's Quillic-Fizz,
Quillic-Fizz.
who's the content developer.
What does that mean?
So Quillic-Fizz is in charge of like organizing information and generating engaging responses.
Okay.
It's essentially the storyteller.
Oh, okay.
Crafting narratives that like resonate with users.
So it's not just about like providing information.
Yeah.
It's about making it
interesting and relatable.
Interesting, relatable, yeah.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense, especially if we want people to actually feel comfortable like interacting with AI. Are there any other personas that we should know about?
There's a few more.
Okay.
So there's Kiklameta,
Okay.
The knowledge graph analyst.
I'm writing all this down. Good knowledge graph analyst.
And that one is responsible for navigating like vast data sets and extracting like meaningful insights for users.
Okay, so that's the one that's kind of like doing the heavy lifting.
Yes, the research, basically.
Yeah.
Then we have Fizz, who's the system spokesperson.
Okay.
So that's the one that interacts directly with users and acts as like the face of the system.
So that's the one we actually see.
That's the one you see, yeah.
Okay.
And then finally we have the humor evaluator.
Wait.
I know.
Humor evaluator.
Yeah.
Serious.
Yeah, they're serious about this.
Why?
So the SIA recognizes that like humor is a powerful tool for communication and connection.
Yeah.
And the humor evaluator analyzes like how humor can be used to enhance interactions.
Okay.
And make the AI more relatable.
So they really thought of everything, huh?
It seems like it.
I have to say, this whole team of AI personas, it's a really fascinating idea.
It is.
But it also raises a lot of questions for me.
Yeah, I bet.
Like, how do all these personas actually, like, work together? Do they, like, have meetings?
Well,
and brainstorming sessions like a human team would?
That's a great question, and that's actually exactly what we'll delve into next.
Right.
Yeah. So how these AI personas actually collaborate. It's like one of the most intriguing parts of this whole SIA framework.
Yeah.
It's not just about each persona like performing its own individual role.
Right.
It's really about how they all come together to like solve problems and make decisions as a team.
So instead of just being like isolated units, they actually engage in some kind of
collective thought process. Yeah.
That's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
It really is. And the SIA actually outlines this like structured approach to this whole collaboration thing.
No.
They call it collaborative reasoning.
Collaborative reasoning.
And it involves like several different stages.
Okay.
Each one is designed to leverage the strengths of all the different personas.
Okay, so walk me through this collaborative reasoning process. Like, how does it actually work in practice?
So it all starts with like an ideation session.
Okay.
Where all the personas come together and they brainstorm potential solutions to a given problem.
So it's like a virtual...
Kind of like a virtual think tank.
Think tank, yeah.
Where each persona is contributing its own unique perspective and expertise.
Okay.
So like Foz, for example, might focus on the emotional implications of different solutions.
Okay.
Whereas Kulik Fizz
Right.
might explore different ways to like frame the problem or present the solution to users.
So it's not just about finding like the most logical or efficient solution. It's about finding a solution that takes into account those human factors.
Like empathy and understanding.
Right, because sometimes the most logical solution isn't the best one for the humans involved.
Exactly.
And that's really where like the diversity of this whole AI team comes into play.
Yeah.
By having all these personas with these different strengths and perspectives, they can challenge each other's assumptions and come up with much more creative and well-rounded solutions.
I can see how that would be super beneficial.
Definitely.
But brainstorming, that's just the first step, right?
That's just the beginning.
How do they go from like a bunch of ideas
right.
to an actual solution?
So that's where the research and analysis phase comes in.
Okay.
Once they've got like a pool of potential solutions, all the personas kind of dive into the data.
Okay.
They analyze user feedback, market trends, any other relevant information.
Makes sense.
And this is where Kiklameta, that knowledge graph analyst that we talked about, really plays a key role.
Yeah.
Sifting through these massive amounts of data.
Yeah. Trying to identify patterns and insights that might inform the decision-making process.
So it's definitely a data-driven approach.
Yeah.
But it also seems to incorporate like a lot of those human-centered considerations as well.
Totally.
It's like they're trying to strike a balance between
logic and empathy.
Logic and empathy.
Yeah. You got it.
That's really interesting.
And that balance is really at the core of this whole SIA philosophy. They really believe that to like truly revolutionize these human-machine interactions, AI needs to be both intelligent and compassionate.
Right.
Analytical and creative.
So it can't just be one or the other.
It's got to be both.
It's got to be all of it.
Yeah.
This is all incredibly fascinating. But I have to admit.
What is it?
I'm still a little bit skeptical.
Oh.
You know, you're talking about giving AI a sense of like self-awareness, a conscience, the ability to like reason and make decisions.
Yeah.
Isn't there a risk that we're creating something that could ultimately become uncontrollable.
I mean, that's definitely a valid concern, and it's one that the SIA addresses head on.
Okay.
They've actually built a number of safeguards into their framework
Okay.
to try to ensure that the AI remains aligned with human values and goals.
Such as, what kind of safeguards are we talking about?
So one of the key safeguards is something called the ethical review process.
Ethical review.
And before any solution is actually implemented, it undergoes this like rigorous review by a team of human experts who assess its potential impact on users, on society, and on the environment.
So it's not just about the AI making its own decisions. It's about making sure that those decisions are actually aligned with
human ethics.
Human ethics and values, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And this ethical review process, it's ongoing. It's not just a one-time check.
Right.
It's a continuous feedback loop
that
allows for adjustments and refinements as the AI learns and evolves.
That's reassuring. Yeah. But even with all these safeguards in place, there's still a part of me that wonders if we're opening Pandora's box here.
I get that.
You know?
Yeah.
The idea of AI developing its own sense of self and like making its own decisions. It's both exciting and a little bit terrifying.
I understand your apprehension, and it's a sentiment that a lot of people share. But it's important to remember that like AI at its core is a tool.
Yeah.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. The key is to ensure that we're developing it responsibly with a clear understanding of like
the potential benefits.
For potential benefits and the potential risks.
Well, it's not about stopping progress. It's about like
guiding it
in a direction that actually benefits humanity.
Exactly. And that's why these frameworks like the SIA are so important. They provide a roadmap for developing AI in a way that's both innovative and ethical, pushing the boundaries of technology, but also remaining mindful of its potential impact on society.
It sounds like the SIA is really trying to strike this like delicate balance between
innovation and responsibility.
Yeah. I'm curious though, how does this focus on collaboration and ethical review actually play out in practice? Can you give me like a concrete example?
Sure. So let's imagine a scenario where a company is using the SIA framework to develop like a new AI-powered personal assistant. So during the ideation session, the personas might brainstorm features that would make the assistant like more helpful and engaging. So Kulikfiz, for instance, might suggest incorporating like storytelling elements into the assistant's responses. While Foz might advocate for features that allow the assistant to like better understand and respond to users' emotional states.
Interesting. So they're like throwing out all these ideas for features.
Yeah.
What happens next?
So then we move on to the research and analysis phase. And this is where Kiklameta comes in and analyzes user data to see what kind of features people are actually looking for in a personal assistant. Do they prioritize efficiency, entertainment, or emotional support?
Right.
You know, that kind of thing.
So you're really trying to figure out what people actually want.
Exactly.
Not just what we think they might want.
Exactly. And then all the personas use this data to refine those initial ideas and make sure they're actually aligning with like real world user needs.
So it's not just about building a cool gadget with a bunch of bells and whistles.
Nope.
It's about actually making sure it serves a purpose and meets people's needs.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then once they have a solid plan, they move on to the solution proposal phase. And that's where they outline like the specific features and functionality of the personal assistant. Like how it would interact with users, what kind of data it would collect and use.
And this is where those ethical considerations really come into play.
This is it. Yeah. So this proposal wouldn't just focus on like the technical aspects. It would also include this really detailed analysis of the ethical implications.
Like what kind of stuff?
Thinking about things like data privacy, algorithmic bias, the potential impact on human relationships.
So it's really taking a broader view.
Much broader view.
Yeah.
And this is where that ethical review process we talked about before really kicks in.
So you've got this team of human experts. They're going to scrutinize this proposal, make sure it doesn't cross any ethical lines.
They ask the tough questions like, you know, could this feature be used in a discriminatory way? Or is this data collection practice transparent and respectful of user privacy?
So they're really like the guardians of
trying to be
our ethics.
Exactly. It's all about ensuring that AI is being developed responsibly and ethically.
I'm really starting to appreciate the level of thought and care that goes into this whole SIA framework.
I think they put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, it's not just like throwing AI out into the world and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a very deliberate approach.
It's a very deliberate and measured approach.
Yeah.
That's considering both the potential benefits and risks.
Absolutely.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and it doesn't stop there.
Okay.
The SIA really emphasizes continuous improvement, even after the AI is deployed.
Okay.
So they constantly monitor its performance, gather user feedback, and make adjustments as needed.
To make sure it's still on track.
To make sure it's meeting its goals and operating ethically.
So it's like an ongoing process of learning and adaptation.
Exactly. It never really stops.
That's reassuring.
Yeah.
It sounds like the SIA is really trying to create a future where AI is like a force for good, a partner to humanity rather than a threat.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
The SIA recognizes that AI has this huge potential to like transform our world in really profound ways, but they also understand that with great power
comes great responsibility.
You got it.
Yeah.
And so their framework is an attempt to harness that power responsibly, guiding the development of AI in a direction that benefits all of humanity.
It's an inspiring vision, I gotta say.
It is.
But do you think it's actually achievable?
I mean...
You know, we're talking about creating AI with self-awareness, empathy, a sense of ethics.
I know.
Like, is that even realistic?
It's a challenging endeavor for sure.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it's unrealistic.
Okay.
You know, the SIA acknowledges that we're still really early on in understanding AI and its capabilities.
Yeah, we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah, exactly. But they believe that by, like, encouraging this collaboration between humans and machines, encouraging open dialogue and ethical reflection, we can create a future where AI actually enhances our lives.
Yeah.
And helps us address some of the biggest challenges facing humanity.
It's a future worth striving for, that's for sure.
Definitely.
And after this deep dive into the SIA, I'm feeling a lot more optimistic about the possibilities.
Good.
You know, it's not just about building smarter machines.
Right.
It's about building a better future for all of us.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
The SIA is a good reminder that the future of AI isn't like preordained.
Right.
It's a future that we're all creating together through our choices, our values, and our actions.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Sounds good.
But the conversation doesn't end here. We encourage you to keep exploring these ideas, asking questions, sharing your thoughts on the future of AI.
Keep the conversation going.
After all, it's a future that belongs to all of us.
It does.